I am also quite happy to do
Good.
that. Hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back.
I will take the welcome for this one.
Okay, go for it.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Kaijusaurus Podcast. Happy New Year!
Did you have a nice Christmas or New Year?
Did you, Ross?
Yeah, I really did.
So did I, but we've discussed this already in our
Personal lives. But what I will tell you, dear listeners, is that for Christmas, I got a nice big blue ledger from my mother, which I'm now going to be recording podcast notes into. I've yet to think up a nickname. Please feel free to suggest one. I am in no way guaranteed to use it. So let's begin.
I also got Godzilla the game for the PS4.
Oh, did you?
It's pretty good, but anyway.
But we can tag that on at the end.
We can tag that
brief
on, yeah.
review. But yeah, no, welcome back to the podcast. I hope you guys had a great 2015. We're now back for our very first episode in 2016.
I mean, obviously it was a great 2015 because that was the year this podcast started.
Yes.
So that was a good year for everyone.
And I assume, well, there were big Godzilla announcements last year as well.
Yes. But Ross, you can look at all this on my blog post on the Kaijusaurus blog. Daikaiju Eiga 2015, the year in review, which I have linked onto the Kaijusaurus Podcast Facebook page, which you have of course seen.
I actually have. I actually did. I did read that.
But this is the podcast in which myself, Steven Sloss, a lifelong Kaiju fan, watches and reviews all 30 films in the Godzilla canon with my good friend, newbie, Roz Menzies.
Yes.
Who is
here. And today we watched the 1966 film, Steven.
Ebirah, Horror of the Deep,
Or
aka Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, or Gojira, Ebirah, Motsura, Nankai no Kai Geto.
I know which one I prefer. No. Yeah, so start us off with sort of direction and sort of cast credits, things like that,
sure.
Steven.
Well, the gang aren't back.
They are not back.
The band have broken up.
Yeah, so is that it for a lot of our core team, or are we going to see them back soon?
They will bow their heads once again.
Right, okay, well that's fine.
But in the director's chair for this film, we have a director by the name of Jun Fukuda, who beforehand was known for directing action comedies in a well-known Japanese series called The Young Guys, which is practically unknown outside of Japan, but it's very big in Japan. Series of kind of action comedies, capers, that sort of thing. Shinichi Sekizawa is back writing it. Music by Masaru Sato, who you've heard already. He did the music for Godzilla Raids Again.
Right.
You've heard almost exclusively Akira Ifukube soundtracks thus far, but Sato composed Raids Again and this film we just watched, and a few more to come.
Well, that's good. That's very good.
Eiji Tsuburaya received special effects supervisor credit, but that was actually mostly an honorary credit.
Really?
Because he was mostly just not even a supervisor, just
He was about.
he was around. Yeah,
Hanging out.
exactly. But the special effects were actually handled by Sadamasa Arikawa for the most part, with Tsuburaya just sort of
About.
yeah,
As previously established.
Franz Oberhausing around the place. In front of Tomoyuki Tanaka's back producing, as he did with every film till 95. In front of the camera, we've got Akira Takarada back.
I recognise him now.
You've seen him in,
I'm getting good at this, guys.
You've seen him in Invasion of Astro Monster, Mothra vs. Godzilla, and the original. Kumi Mizuno is back from Invasion of Astro Monster. She was Miss Namikawa, and she is a Daio in this. Akihiko Harata is back in eye patch. The second time he's brandished an eye patch in the Godzilla series. And Jun Tazaki, who plays military kind of commanding figures, military general in King Kong vs. Godzilla, newspaper editor in Mothra vs. Godzilla, and one of the professors at the World Space Authority in Invasion of Astro Monster. He is the sort of Red Bamboo higher up. And some newcomers, new faces among the cast as well, playing the three kind of younger guys.
Yeah.
4 younger guys, I should say. They're joined later by a fourth. I don't know all their names off by heart, but it's nice to see some fresh blood in the series in what was kind of increasingly becoming Toho's stock players.
Yeah.
Repeating themselves over and over again. Not that it's not welcome, but it's also welcome to see some new faces.
Yeah, absolutely.
And first instance of pre-established characters coming back, but having been recast. The Shobijin are back, but they're not played by the Peanuts.
No,
they're played by
now?
Pear Bambi.
Here, but yeah, no, because I noticed that in the credits, obviously, and I thought, like, my initial foolish thought was Is that just some sort of alternative translation? The Peanut Sisters. Pear Bambi.
I really don't know much about Pear Bambi, except
it's a great name.
They're again twins who dabbled in acting and singing, I guess. But I'll stick some more stuff in the show notes. But shall we rattle on with this?
Yeah. So let's do a quick synopsis.
Yeah. So our young hero Ruta.
He's a sort of young, naive boy from a mountain village.
Yeah, from the countryside, they describe him as. He's recently lost his brother Yatta in a yachting accident. But the local psychics keep saying that Yatta isn't dead. She's looked in the land of the dead, and yet I cannot find Yatta!
Yeah, and he believes this. His family seems to believe it as well. Believe his mother.
Yeah,
and he's sent to not to the mainland, but to the city.
He goes to a newspaper. They don't believe him, but it's at the newspaper. He finds at the newspaper office. He finds a poster for a 3-day dance marathon contest, in which the first prize is a sailboat.
With this information, he rushes to the tournament, only to find out that he's too late to enter. But upon chatting to two failed contestants, they what are their names? I believe that's Nata
and Mita.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Perfect.
And so he chats to them, saying, "Oh, but I've got to have a boat."
He must have a boat. He needs a boat to look for his brother.
Yes.
So they offer to just take him out
and show him some boats.
And
for some reason, they go down and they go in amongst one of the boats.
Yeah.
Just for a
breaking
look.
and entering.
And they go, I wonder what the owner looks like. Well, I'll show you what he looks like. Enter Akira Takarada, who is in the boat.
As far as we know, the owner
masquerading
of the boat.
as the owner. Yeah. He lets them stay for the night for some reason.
But
in the morning, they've set sail and in the middle of the ocean.
Ryota having stolen the boat to look for his brother.
That's correct. Ruta. Is it?
Ruta.
I think I'm getting character names mixed up.
Oh no, we'll have to re-record everything, or at the very least edit over the names.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we re-familiarise ourselves now? So, our main character See, I'm pronouncing it Ryota. Or,
Ryota. Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, why not?
But anyway, our young protagonist has stolen the boat, sailed off to look for his brother, leaving these two dance competition teenagers and what is now revealed to be a wanted bank robber.
Yeah.
Slash safecracker.
Mr. Safecracker, yeah.
Mr. Safecracker. This foursome are now essentially lost at sea.
Yeah, hopelessly searching for this guy's brother.
Sailing out towards the unknown.
At one point, after a few days, the rations are depleting, etc., they're attacked by what appears in the middle of a typhoon or a storm. They're attacked by a giant red claw, which then they are then shipwrecked on an island.
But not just any island.
Not just any island. On this island, at first they theorise might be cannibals because they find a sword.
Well, and the sword is sort of indicative of other life on this island, that people have been here before somehow.
There's a lot to this film.
There is. The island has plenty of fruit. It's sort of luscious. And then, as they continue their exploration,
they discover
there is also
the red bamboo,
the military installation installed on the island. There seems to be some sort of occupying force,
Spectre-esque supergroup.
Oh, absolutely. Conducting experiments,
building nuclear bombs,
and also taking captives,
kidnapping infant islanders.
So they've removed the some of the native infant islanders and have taken them over to this other island to sort of use them for slave labor. Yeah.
Or Lecce.
Is that the name? Do we hear the name in the film?
They say the Shobijin call it Devil's Island,
right?
But I've seen it referred to as Lecce Island as well.
And so we very briefly meet the sort of commander and the captain of the guard of the
Red Bamboo.
The Red Bamboo. Yeah. White military costume.
Yeah.
Eye patch. Yeah. All manners of menacing. They look great.
But the Red Bamboo are using the infant islanders as slave labor. Meanwhile, our young heroes end up meeting a young infant islander
who has escaped,
called Daio, who's played by
Daio.
Kumi Mizuno, and they team up and just try to really get to the bottom of what the red bamboo is all about. Along the way, they discover many things, including that they're building nuclear bombs in a heavy water factory.
That Ebirah, the sort of claw monster, the crab monster, sort of skulks around the perimeter of the island.
Yeah.
And the only thing that keeps him at bay so that the red bamboo can sort of come and go and use the island as they please is the juice of like a yellow fruit.
Yeah.
And that's what they use the infant islanders to make.
To produce, to churn it out, yeah. Ebirah's not exactly working for the red bamboo, but they managed to keep it at bay, and it's advantageous to have it around for
it's sort of like a guard dog.
Exactly. Any slaves that try and escape. That was demonstrated earlier in the film. They get pincered.
They do get pincered by his little pokey stick finger. Just they're so tiny compared to him, and that shot looked great.
It's like a barbecue skewer. So eventually our heroes are wondering just how we take down the red bamboo because.
Daio.
By this point, the team has been split up. One of them has been captured and is being used as slave labor.
Yeah,
and another one has got his foot caught in a balloon, a sort of weather balloon sort of thing, and ends up being cast adrift to Infant Island, where he finds his brother.
Yeah, so Ryota is
so much
reunited with his brother. He's sort of introduced to the Infant Islanders and Mothra herself, and then sort of now we get the introduction of Mothra to the story, and the question is now when and if Mothra will sort of wake up and save the day. The Infant Islanders are sort of praying for her to wake up.
But back on Devil's Island, earlier in the film, our little intrepid heroes have discovered that not only are the red bamboo on the island, not only is Ebirah on the island, not only are Infant Islanders being held as slave labor on the island, also on the island is Godzilla. Apparently really, really tired after fighting the Exilians last year.
And so he took a big long stone nap.
He's in a deep, deep slumber in the bottom of a cave. Just so happens to be the cave that our heroes have chosen to take refuge in. Eventually, our depleted gang, just Daio, Mr. Safecracker, and one of the young guys, decide to wake up Godzilla in a last-ditch attempt to take down the red bamboo, which they do. Godzilla lays waste to the red bamboo in the island after a couple of scrapes with Ebirah and a giant condor, which we'll get back to.
Yes, we will.
The giant condor. And fast forward, Mothra wakes up, decides, I
better help
out. Heads over, nips over next door to Devil's Island.
Godzilla continues, has sort of wreaked his havoc on the land. Our sort of young heroes have convinced and sort of working with the Infant Islanders have managed to escape and have stopped producing the yellow liquid for the red bamboo. They replaced it with, they've used the skins of the fruit instead, or the leaves, pardon me, so that they're rendering that effect useless. So
when the red bamboo tried to escape, they deploy the yellow liquid, but Ebirah still rises and fucks them up.
Crushes them, explodes their submarine. As Mothra arrives to sort of rescue
the Islanders, Godzilla's still left.
Fighting Ebirah at first.
Yep. Rips off both of Ebirah's claws, taunts him a bit. And meanwhile, one of the red bamboo scientists this entire time has set off a nuclear countdown.
Yeah, so this entire time...
After 20 minutes, the entire island's going to be destroyed in a nuclear explosion.
So there is tension.
Mothra shows up, smacks Godzilla around a bit. In this time, the Infant Islanders and our heroes have constructed a net. Mothra lifts up the net, saving everyone, carrying them off. Godzilla's left on the island. He Ron Burgundy's off the island. There's a big cannonball, swims away. The island blows up in a nuclear explosion as our heroes and Mothra watch and are happy Godzilla survived.
Yes.
The end.
The end. Now, that was a much quicker synopsis than we've done in the past. And I think I'm okay with that because there really is quite a lot in this film to discuss about. Yeah, no, ask me the question, Stephen.
Well, I don't really have questions. You
ask me if I liked it.
Did you, Ross? Did you like this film?
I really did.
Yeah.
Surprise everyone! Guess what? I liked another Godzilla movie. But no,
we did have a lot of kind of giggles and laughs in the first 20 minutes, half an hour, because there's just so much going on, and it's just...
No, I really, really like Ebirah Horror of the Deep. I right from the start, from those opening credits, there is something different about them, and I think it should be noted as well. This is our first time, not our first time, sorry, but we're back to Blu-ray after a little while of just sort of DVDs and
the humble DVD,
the
noble DVD.
Mm-hmm. But this movie looked absolutely stunning on Blu-ray, and that opening credits, that sort of orange sunset beach, summery, wonderful, and then the music by
Masaru Sato.
Sato, that music, I have such high praise for the music in this film, and the music throughout the entire Godzilla franchise I've really enjoyed, but this music in particular, the sort of score for this movie, works so well for me because it's actually, I am a huge fan, for some reason, just in what I've listened to personally, of a lot of like big band music, a lot of sort of Latin infused music, stuff like Xavier Cugat, swing, that sort of thing, surfer music, and
Masaru Sato is easily big band inspired. Not just inspired, he is big band music.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and so there's... The best way to put my sort of thoughts and feelings about this film is that it felt like a very young film. It felt to me like a very modern film, or like we're sort of, as we've always said, that these films are obviously made in the times that they're made in, that they're about the times that they're in, and we're sort of seeing Japan, we're seeing the world emerge into what we now recognise as sort of remarkably much more modern. Even just in sort of the pacing, some of the comedy, and that style,
and some of the sort of characters we spend most of our time with.
They're much younger. But
sorry, you go.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, so like the first 25 minutes of this movie, I was really, really enjoying. We sort of get thrown in quick with the young guy looking for sort of establishing that he needs to find his brother. But it's that shot that sort of shows him focusing on the dance competition picture.
He's just sort of staring.
And as he stares at that, and he gets the idea in his head, and he rips the poster off, that music starts, and it is just that big, booming, high intensity volume music, and then we just get shown the dance competition.
And they're all exhausted.
And it's so colourful. It's young people, young actors. They're all in their 20s, 19, that kind of thing. And just the intensity and the sort of like colour of that scene just made me like so interested, so excited to see what was going on next.
But it's funny you mention music and Masaru Sato, because there's a sort of weird stigma in Godzilla fandom that like Masaru Sato was sort of a second fiddle to Akira Ifukube. It's not fucking true at all. First of all, they're totally different styles.
It is. It just really is a different style.
Like Masaru Sato was as prolific as Ifukube was, and is actually
in terms of talent
and just what he did, and is actually more well known internationally because Sato scored a lot of Kurosawa's big films.
Right. Okay.
So that's what he's most well known for.
Yeah. Okay. And this was just something extra. I mean, I understand that, but no, I really don't feel that way. Just because, I mean, it's Ashiro Honda, composer for sort of our original
Ifukube.
Ifukube, how I feel is that I wouldn't want them to swap. The films that he's done perfectly. The Godzilla film theme is perfect.
I agree,
the music for Godzilla is absolutely great.
If the sort of tracks that Ifukube would compose wouldn't have suited this film,
and vice versa.
Exactly.
But it's funny. Though I must say, Raids Again music is fantastic. But here I think the music is and the music style is so deliberate, so intentional. It's electric guitars. It's sort of like weird, sort of Latin-inspired percussion. It's jazz percussion. Some of the scenes going through the bass, it's proper, jazz percussion. And that really is just such a unique thing to sort of layer over a Godzilla movie, because the electric guitars start when we first see Ebirah coming out of the water, when we first see his claws. And it gives a different tone to that character. It tells me something about Ebirah that's very different from a sort of more traditional, sort of booming, epic score. this is an island adventure. It's a weird summer film. It's this strange island where all this stuff is happening.
For the first time in a Godzilla film, we're not in any towns or cities.
Yeah, we're not in any towns or cities.
We're on a tropical island.
We're with sort of hip young people, or at least our two dancers are the hip young people. I don't know if that applies to Ryota.
But it's funny you opened with commenting on the opening credits. Was there anything unusual for you? Anything out of the ordinary for those opening credits for you?
Were they in English?
For the first time you and I watching one of these films, English credits. It's just worth mentioning for the listeners there. We watched this on the Kraken releasing Blu-ray, which features the international.
Yeah, see, I was gonna ask you as I watched it if so. Those are not the original credits.
No, God, no.
Obviously not.
But I'll elaborate on versions of this film.
Oh yeah, no, I would like that because what I did notice in that it was the first time that I saw a little registered trademark sign next to Godzilla's name in that.
Oh yeah,
gosh,
the credits on that Blu-ray have been redone. I think because they look really like they're done on a Photoshop text tool 2 years ago, which they probably were.
But yeah, no, because so the first thing that just sort of floored me with this was that I really just love that music. It really is in line with a lot of stuff I like anyway, but it really just made this film, as I've always said, the best thing about these Godzilla films is I love the ones that feel like completely different, completely unique. Last year, essentially, we went to space. Today we're on an island. Today the music is different. It's very earthy. It's summery. It's fresh fruit.
It's bright and it's colourful.
And it's great, and it goes as far to the costume. I thought, like, for our sort of young characters and our four
big bright yellow jackets.
I mean, the thing is, as I was saying, like we're clearly progressing into a much more modern era.
Yeah.
Because literally the clothes those guys were wearing, I'm wearing today. Like, one of them's wearing a hoodie, a yellow jacket, goodness grief, what's his name? The safecracker.
Yeah.
He is wearing a little yellow cardigan and a striped shirt throughout most of the movie. He looks great.
Yeah, exactly.
On the boat, when they're sort of spending a few days in the boat, Steven was commenting about how good his sort of really nice pink shirt was.
Yeah, his pink t-shirt. I want that.
Yeah, like the costume in this film for these young characters looks absolutely... It looks great on Blu-ray. And again, it's a marked difference from our protagonists of the past. Astronauts, journalists, scientists, police officers, detectives, and now we have three
bumbling young men.
Yeah, and one farm hick, a safecracker, and two, I assume, young hopefuls. Yeah, who spend all their time. Who apparently spend 3 days in dancing competitions.
More than any of the protagonists we've seen so far are completely unequipped to deal with the situation.
Yeah, they're just bumbling about. And I think what I liked for the first half an hour is that, as I've always said, I really like strong human stories in Godzilla films, and I really like when we open. I really like using strong human storylines, because in the best of these Godzilla films, a strong human storyline doesn't like weaken or diminish once the monsters are in.
Agreed.
It's our sort of perfect through line, and then when the monsters come in, these two sort of strands sort of combine together perfectly. Which is what I think happens in this movie. I think, like, as far as everything coming together, structure-wise,
everything aligns.
Yeah, everything
really
aligns
nicely,
perfectly. And for this first half an hour, the reason I'm loving it is because this human story, it's this movie, it's a crime caper.
Yeah.
It feels like almost not a farce in terms of the comedy, but just in terms of it's farcical in how quickly the situation is unfolding.
Oh yeah, well, for the first time since King Kong versus Godzilla, there's a lot of deliberate intended comedy. Like there's the scene, for example, where they hide behind a bush, like a fake bush to hide from the red bamboo. That's hilarious.
It really is.
One of them just trips and like.
Yeah, but it is good comedy, and it's different from some of the other times that we've gone much more comedy in other Godzilla films, because I don't think it was too slapstick, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it was all sort of within the character and it kept tension. Like when they're sneaking on the base in that scene and they fell over, but I was still tense because right away the lights go on them and it's a shock.
And later when Godzilla and Ebirah are playing kind of boulder volleyball and Godzilla bats one of the boulders away and it just destroys a red bamboo outpost.
It's great. Yeah, I got a big laugh from me. But yeah, no, it is it happens so quickly. A young guy goes out in search of his brother, meets two guys who drive him around a bit. They hang out on a boat, and then before they know it, they have crashed on the sea on a weird island after having encountered a crab monster with this bank robber.
And they're dealing with international terrorists.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, and the scenes on the boat I especially liked, because we know, or we suspect that the boat owner is sort of not what he seems, and then we learn on the radio broadcast that he is clearly an escaped an escaped safecracker. We watch them sort of dealing with the naive Ryota as he's desperate to find his brother.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that can sail the ship, apparently. So they're sort of stuck to his whims. But yeah, and so progressing from there, we crash land on this island, and it becomes sort of grand, fun adventure. And I think, those four characters, and then Dio, and then the brother, everyone's sort of playing their part. You get a strong sense of everyone's sort of individual character.
Yatta, the brother, is so funny. Like, he's just this kind of stupid, kind of brainless bravado type, and he tries to rush in and be a hero and just ends up fucking up. Like, the very first time he lands on Devil's Island with his brother, they're caught in a trap.
And immediately, needs to be rescued.
Okay, let's go. And Safecracker goes, wait, who put you in charge?
Exactly. But no, even the going very briefly back about the costume and the sort of youthfulness to this movie, like even the brother Yatta, who's been stranded on an island, he's wearing beautiful blue jeans. Look great, like really young, late 60s.
Yeah,
what a guy in his time would wear. It really is great.
I was gonna, unless you finished this point, or
carry on.
Would you like to hear something about the history of this film?
Yeah, that would be great.
Because this has quite an interesting history. This film. Okay, enter an American company called Rankin Bass, known for stop motion Christmas specials like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. In the mid-60s, Rankin Bass produced an animated series about King Kong. And they also broker a deal with Toho to produce a King Kong film with them. The first draft submitted by Sekizawa for this film was Big Duel in the South Seas, King Kong versus Ebirah. Rankin Bass rejected this, and the eventual Rankin Bass Toho King Kong project became the 1967 film King Kong Escapes.
Right.
But Tomoyuki Tanaka thought the script was good and didn't want it to go to waste. Instructed Sekizawa to replace Kong with Godzilla, and the film was made.
Okay. Mate.
Which makes a lot of sense when you look
really
back
does.
at it. Some of the behaviour Godzilla exhibits towards Dio in particular, he seems really particularly fascinated with her. And goes out of his way to protect her. And just sits by and watches over her. And it gives his little hand gesture after he defeats the Jets. You remember that bit?
The sort of rubbing his nose. Yeah. Is that
that's it's a reference to a Japanese comedy. I think it might be from Young Guys, actually.
Right.
It's either from Young Guy or Crazy Cats, but I'll put it in the Crazy Cats. I mentioned it before. I think I don't know, Japanese comedy troupe from the same time. I'll put it in the show notes, but that is a reference to something in particular.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Does make sense.
Think of the behaviour exhibited, and the fact that if you remember back in King Kong versus Godzilla, Toho's version of Kong is revived and gains power from electricity and lightning.
That's right.
That's how they revived Godzilla in this film.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally true. Because that makes a lot of sense. But I was going to say, or at least was going to make note of, just how I would say of sort of a lot of the Godzilla films that I've seen so far, I would probably say that I was most invested in Godzilla as a character in this one so far. Like, I actually felt like this is the one where I was really interested in got a sense of what Godzilla was thinking, what he was trying to do. Because in this one, sort of, he essentially is trying to sleep throughout this entire movie. My understanding of it is Godzilla just wants to go to fucking bed.
Well, that's another thing. Like, that, it would make much more sense for Kong to just be there, just be on this island. And by the way, the Kong script wasn't called Big Duel in the South Seas. That's what this film ended up being called.
Right.
The Kong script was called Operation Robinson Crusoe, King Kong versus Ebirah.
Excellent.
Which is a phenomenal title.
Yeah, that is a great title. But regardless of what happens, my sort of or at least watching it, I was like, okay, well, I assume Godzilla clambered into this rock formation somehow. Because even as far as...
After plunging into the sea with Rodan and King Ghidorah after fighting off the Exilians, he just swam to Devil's Island
and just clambered on in.
Found what he thought was a quiet little cove to just have a nap in for a good...
wee 100 years. Because I was going to say, because he's like buried in the rock, he looks almost sort of fossilized, mummified, petrified,
and they assume he's dead.
Yeah, exactly, and he seems dead. Like he seems like he looks, because the sense when he comes out of that thing is he looks old, he looks ancient, and even the sort of design of his, the design of the costume, his suit, the scales. To me, it like matches the rocks. Like he looks sort of like blended into the rocks.
Well, yeah, I agree actually. Because
I don't think
at first glance, it's kind of slightly difficult to make him out.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like I think that could easily be deliberate because it looks cool. Yeah. Like it looks like Godzilla's in like hibernation mode.
Well, what I was going to say to you is that I've written down in my show notes in this that I think Godzilla's looking slightly worse for wear in this film because this is the same suit from Invasion of Astro Monster being reused and. Could have done with a bit of refurbishment in some places. And the head in particular looks really strange in this film.
It's not a great head. It's not one of the best Godzillas I've seen so far.
No, I completely agree.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, the characterization is dead on, and Haruo Nakajima's back playing Godzilla, and he really gets to have a lot of fun with it. Like, like
totally.
I said earlier, the kind of volleyball with Boulder and taunting Ebirah after it's ripped off his claws and the
Yeah, no, totally. And the other thing that I was like really feeling I was really feeling the size of Godzilla in this film as well. Not that I haven't before, but watching Godzilla destroy the base and the models for the model work for the bases look great. But it sort of just made me realize that, like, of course, like everything's just so tiny to a Godzilla. Like, nothing about this. He doesn't give a shit about any of it. He is just woken up on an island after a nap. People are shooting at him. Everything that they've built is about to his knee. And he just wants to go to bed and for them to stop bothering him. So he just kicks it all. He just sort of stomps in it and like is like putting out a fire.
He does kind of wander through the film a bit confused. Like he has just woken up, and he's woken up and he's having to fight a giant lobster.
Yeah, no, because there was actually a shot that I really liked, and it's literally just a shot of Godzilla turning around, but through the sort of body performance, you got the sense. So right after he sort of throws Ebirah right back into the water, having woken up now, he turns around very slowly to face the island, and you get the sense that the way that the Godzilla reacts, it's almost like he didn't actually realize he was on an island. Because he sort of slowly turns around. It's as though he's saying, "This is my turning around. Oh, my island, I guess." And then he sort of just wanders back towards the island. Yeah, no, and it's when you have this scene with Dio on the rocks. Godzilla sort of stops. He protects her from the giant condor and the nose scratch and stuff. And it's when he sort of sits down. It's when he sits down, and that now that you've told me that was some of this was originally King Kong. That makes sense. But yeah, it was nice to see sort of Godzilla a lot more passive, you know, like a lot more peaceful at this time. Like once the bothering is out the way, and he can just sit down and chill out for a bit. He's more than happy to do that.
I think of all the monsters in this film, though, Godzilla doesn't look totally great.
No, he doesn't.
Mothra's a bit worse for wear as well. The giant condor, we'll get back to. But Ebirah
when can we talk about the giant condor?
Oh, talk about it right after this.
Right.
But Ebirah looks great.
Yeah, Ebirah looks really cool.
Wonderful.
Works so well under the sea, sort of coming out the water, and as we said, like the claw work. It's so cool the way, because that shot, because it's such a big shot of the two infant islanders on his pincer. They're so small, and that's another one of those shots where you just really, really see how small and insignificant these things are, and how good aim Ebirah must have.
I guess what we're to assume that boat that they steal was just hidden there by previous infant islanders and was passed along. But if you manage to escape, there's a boat just around the corner there.
Oh yeah, just so you know.
So the giant condor.
Giant condor. My favourite thing about the giant condor is that when it crashed like a plane. It like went like at a diagonal angle, like scuttering into the rocks.
That is I don't know why it's in the film.
Yeah, it's just something to bother him for an extra minute or two.
Apologies to Michael, who I know will be listening right now and he'll be seething. But the giant condor, I don't. Why is it in the film? Why is
it a divisive?
No, it's just
or just between the two of you.
It's just. I'll explain later.
Okay, please do. Fill me in.
But it's, the prop's terrible. It's on screen for all of about 30 seconds. It comes right after the jets attack Godzilla.
Yeah, it's sort of come after everything.
It's just this awful marionette that just sort of stilts and flies.
Yeah, it sort of moves in a single plane.
And then the puppet that just goes...
For anyone that can't see us right now, Steven is smacking me with a limp hand. With his limp hand. Sorry, I'm scanning through my baby blue notebook for a few other extra things that I noticed. Right, another thing that I just really liked was I am always a big fan of the perspective of the film sort of being limited to the character's perspective, and that our characters we only really see as much as our characters would see or know. And that's not entirely true, because obviously we do spend a lot of time with Godzilla on his own. But I really, really just think it's very funny that 4 people crash land on an island they think is deserted before realizing that a mysterious non-government organization, highly militarized, highly dangerous,
like armed guards everywhere.
Armed guards, nuclear technology. They are keeping slaves in the modern time. They sort of accidentally completely defeat them, wiping their plans. The island sinks, so their base is destroyed by Godzilla and then self-destructs by nuclear explosion, sinking the entire island. The fleeing Red Bamboo militants are crushed by Ebirah.
Yep.
And we never learn what their true intentions were, what their political motives were.
Global domination.
Were they intending to use the nuclear as a deterrent? Did they intend to use it? For what aim? Good or bad? We will literally never know, and I like that so much. I just think that the Red Bamboo have just shown up and been dismissed.
We never see them again.
Good.
We never see the Red
Normally
Bamboo
I would
again.
be disappointed, but I'm actually pleased.
Not even a reference.
Good. Wiped off the face. They were so secret. They clearly were. No one, I like to imagine that by the time that the Red Bamboo are in their operations firmly on this island doing their thing, that there would be no one else on the mainland that knows what they're aware of, knows what they're doing directly. All instances of them are gone.
They're a nice sort of counterpoint to the Exilians last time being highly organized human villains.
Yeah, and it's always great fun because they look great like and that.
Clearly
Stormtrooper-esque white uniform.
Oh yeah, well, there is definitely some Nazi imagery going on, but there's also like clear influence of the Bond films throughout this whole film, by the way, and the organization of Spectre. But I mean, the influence of Bond is right through this film, even down to the sort of Ebirah's theme. The
I mean the guitars. Like the music is much more Bond-like.
Exactly, and the tone is really light-hearted and
kind of similar to Doctor No a little bit.
Exactly, like that
always in a good way.
Evil organization on an island, just a sort of light, slightly campy, breezy tone, as these characters just sort of breeze through the story and manage to overcome insurmountable odds.
Yeah,
and also like before we started recording, I showed you a trailer for a film called 100 Shot, 100 Killed.
Yeah,
aka Iron Finger. I prefer the title 100 Shot, 100 Killed.
Yeah, it's a great title.
Which also directed by John Fukuda and also starring Akira Takarada as Andrew Hoshino, a French-Japanese Interpol agent. Or is he? But I mean, 100 Shot, 100 Killed is a great film, and it's really indicative of the sort of films that Fukuda was more well known for before tackling the Godzilla series. And Ebirah Horror of the Deep is sort of a 100 Shot, 100 Killed reunion. There's a lot of the same cast and crew between the two films, and the tone's very similar. In 100 Shot, 100 Killed is much more of an outright comedy, but the tones are similar.
Yeah.
And the influence of Fukuda's previous works are rife in this film, and they actually make very good companion films. If you ever get a chance to see 100 Shot, 100 Killed, do. Because it's genuinely just like a Showa kaiju film without kaiju.
So, like the first half an hour of this?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
that trailer looked great, and I loved the direction in this film, and I think, so, I feel like it's a very strong direction to this film, and it's sort of not. It's not the first time that we've not had Ishiro Honda as director.
Motoyoshi Oda directed Godzilla Raids Again, but everything else you've seen so far has been by Honda.
And Godzilla Raids Again, I liked, but I felt it was a little bit of not a step back, but just it paled a little bit compared. But so this is, for me, the first film that has a very directed other than by Honda, that has such a strong sense of direction. I felt like I was in good, capable hands. Like I felt it was a different style, which I love, which I'm always happy to see.
I totally agree. I like this film a lot.
Yeah, I like this. I really. I
grew up with the. Well, actually, that's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to talk about the dubs of this film. This is the first Godzilla film to have 2 English dubs.
Right. Okay.
From here on out, Toho would create their own English dubs, which have come to be known as the international dubs.
Right.
They did it through a studio in Hong Kong, and the idea was that if they themselves can say to distributors, look, we have this film, you can either have it in Japanese or in English, we have it ready for you. We can give you either edition. Yeah. It makes the film much more sellable. Plus, a lot of other countries, like I think France and Germany in particular, much rathered translating a film from English than translating a film from Japanese. It makes it much easier, even for 1 step or even 2 steps, thinking like that.
Yeah.
So it made the film much more accessible. But when the film reached America, also the first Godzilla film did not receive a theatrical release in America.
Right, okay.
It went straight to TV under American International Pictures, or American International TV, and they made their own dub. So there's 2 English dubs.
Right, okay.
I grew up with the international dub on...
So that's the one produced by Toho.
By Toho, yeah. I grew up with that international dub, and as to a lesser extent, but the same as with Astro Monster, I was listening to the dub in my head while we were watching this. Particular the kind of the kind of sillier young guy, the one in the brown hoodie, who gets captured. Like his voice in particular, when they first meet Dio and they try to say, "Oh, we're friends." You and me are friends.
Oh dear!
And when he finds the sword, he's like, cannibals! I got it. We'll just throw out all the liquid and make a batch of phony one. We gotta use our heads, you see.
So that's me. That's what I would be doing.
Exactly. That is your casting.
That is my casting.
So yeah, two English dubs.
What about the other dub? What was that like? Similar.
I haven't actually watched it all the way through. I've watched it on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Right.
Which we'll get back to.
Okay. Was that used on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we will get back to that.
Okay, we'll get back to that. That's fine.
It's funny because while I can recognise that the dub done by American International Pictures is superior from a technical standpoint, I prefer the international dub just from a purely nostalgia point of view because I grew up with it and I know it. And those characters speaking in English but with a different voice and saying different words to what I'm used to sounds wrong.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the same with any film that you're sort of used to.
Yeah. So I personally prefer the international dub, but it's purely personal perspective. I would never make a case of it being actually a better work. But
that's just
sorry guys.
That's just you.
That's just me.
You gotta do you.
But this film was one of 2 Godzilla films to be featured in Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Right. Okay.
And they managed to do it.
Why don't we'll go off that? No, we'll just go with that. I've got a few other things to go on, but we've
got plenty.
We've got plenty of time. Carry on, Stephen.
One of 2 Godzilla films to be featured in MST3K. They managed to wangle it by this weird bylaw where in a distributor, if a distributor, I'm not sure of it specifically, but if a distributor back in these days could recreate their own opening and closing credits for a film, they could sell it or
use it.
It's a really weird legal loophole, and that's how Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster ended up on MST3K. But it's a really fucking funny episode.
Yeah,
I can imagine. Really funny.
I can imagine.
Another that uses the American International Pictures dub,
right?
Not
okay,
the international
so not
one.
the.
American International also made a small change to the film. Obviously, the version we watched, the Japanese version, opens with opening credits, then praying to try and find Yata. American International Pictures took footage from later in the film when the Yalin, the boat, is being attacked by Ebirah for the first time,
right,
and put it kind of before that, straight after the credits, to try and simulate this was Yata's boat, and it got attacked by Ebirah, but it doesn't work.
Yeah,
because the name Yalin is
prominent,
and they didn't really do any other edits to make it more seamless. Like they didn't change the music or the sound effects. They just literally take that bit, put it there as a prologue. We write it out of the film.
Yeah,
it's a really bad edit. But the Mr. Science Theater 3000 episode is really fun.
That's cool. I might have a shot of that because that sounds fun.
What were you going to say?
Well, I am just wrapping up. Sort of, I have a few final things to say. Going back very briefly to sort of talking about Godzilla's character. The movie ends on the big net of the Infant Islanders and our heroes being lifted by Mothra back to Infant Island. And as they watch, first of all, Godzilla sort of standing sort of desolately on the island just before this nuclear bomb goes off. And then they sort of have a brief discussion about their pity for Godzilla. And the sort of film invites you for, I think, the first time, maybe
he never did any harm to us.
Yeah, it's to sort of pity Godzilla. And to sort of properly go, he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, he's played no real part in this. None of this is his fault.
He just woke up, some shitheads woke him up. He stomped on some stuff, fought a big condor, fought a big moth, fought a big sea crab. Yep. Got told that the island was about to blow up.
And had to cannonball
off and swim to another island. But yeah, so the film sort of invites you very briefly to pity and sympathise with Godzilla. And I like that having the character sort of directly come out and say that.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, and it made me feel much more for Godzilla than I have in previous films.
Yeah,
not meaning that I've ever disliked Godzilla, but not for the very first time, but for much more, I was really enjoying Godzilla.
Rooting for him, yeah. That's good. Well, any final thoughts, or are you?
Well, I've got another thing. My other thing that I've loved throughout these movies is that every time that there is a musical sequence on Infant Island, I am game. When was the last time the one that was done in the TV?
That was Ghidorah, the three-headed monster.
Yeah, the one in Ghidorah, the one in this one, and that happens twice. It happens twice inGhidorah. It happens twice in this movie.
Yeah.
Those sequences, like, they work so well on me. That we've talked before about sort of these movies and sometimes the sort of like over exotification of the natives and that sort of thing, but these sequences, the wonderful music, like, I really do get that sort of like
fabulous, that
godly vibe. And these people are just praying for Mothra, just desperate for her to wake up.
Song as well.
Yeah, and then the Mothra song is great in this one. It was nice. It's nice to have the difference of sort of interaction again between Mothra and Godzilla, and I think in every time that they appear, like, you really can't help but drawing a comparison between them, like or contrast between Godzilla and Mothra. Mothra has this sort of respect for human life, but at the same time takes her time. And she takes a long time to get anything done. Everything happens in her own sort of way. But you get the sense that she sort of had everything pegged from the start, because she instructs Ryota and Yatta to build a net. Build a net when they get everyone rescued. Build a big net. Let me handle it.
And like I said to you,
I'll come and pick these up.
Like I first said to you during the Mothra versus Godzilla podcast, this continues the trend of Mothra being able to not outright defeat but repel Godzilla.
And it's never out of malice. And I think that's okay. I like Mothra being
an interesting
someone
relationship.
I like Mothra having the power over Godzilla because it's a much more interesting relationship than Mothra just being super strong and hating Godzilla and trying to beat him. Mothra disagrees with Godzilla. They have
different ideologies.
And what I thought was fun is that we've had the sort of monster conference in the past in versus Ghidorah, but I like in this one the brief conversation they have. It's actually much harder to sort of interpret what they're saying.
Because there's that great bit where Godzilla's taunting the fleeing Ebirah and clacking in his claw. Then he just sort of goes, notices Mothra, stops playing with the claw, and it's like he's kind of going, oh shit, she's gonna tell me off.
Exactly, yeah. I really dig those sequences, and I like Mothra a lot. Like, I really do it. I'm pleased when I see
fabulous,
Mothra.
But Mothra's great, and I think it's safe to assume this is the larva Mothra that we previously saw in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, and was totally shunned in Invasion of Astro Monsters, and who's now cocooned, burst from her beautiful chrysalis.
Yes. And we have and I like seeing the Shibin sisters again. The Shihabin?
Shobijin.
The Shobijin! I quit the podcast.
Would it be easier for you to call them the Cosmos? Because they're called that in a later film.
Sure, why not? No, I should have
given you that.
No. I will soldier on.
Or the Peanuts.
The Peanuts.
So
they're not the Bambi. Your Bambi.
Pear Bambi.
Pear Bambi.
Mind it was Pear Bambi in this film. The Peanuts previously.
Oh, very briefly, I want to talk about just this is probably my last point. Just about the sort of the energy of this film. That scene where Godzilla gets pelted with missiles to surf music. I was loving that. I thought it was funny, but I think and I can imagine that I could easily see how that could shut off the film for someone. I could see how people could sort of be like, "Oh, brother, come on." But
no,
I think that's fun.
It's fabulous. It's so
that
good.
Juxtaposition of crazy music and absolute horror happening.
Like
is
I've
great
said
fun.
to you in the past, in the previous episodes, I think I said this in the very first Godzilla one we did. The Godzilla franchise is one of the most tonally rich and varied franchises in the history of popular cinema, and it absolutely works to its favor because, while there are films that are certainly much more similar to each other than others, there's no one film that's exactly like another one.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hope you're seeing that so far.
Totally.
Compare this Ebirah Horror of the Deep to even Godzilla Raids Again, or King Kong vs. Godzilla, both very light films, but both totally different approaches.
Yeah, no, totally. And the very last thing I want to say is, although I'm sort of so-so on the Godzilla costume, the eyes, great.
Nice eye work.
Yeah, great eye work. great eye work, guys.
Who was your eye guy?
But yeah, when he's bashing the planes and just swatting them away like flies, the shot of his eyes, he just looks so pissed off. He just looks raging, he's been woken up.
It's when I think the condors swooping down, and Dio starts screaming, and Godzilla just kind of goes. His eyes just flutter open,
that raging eyes.
He just kind of goes, ugh. So, are you ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap up.
Well, as always, we've heard Ross's opinion. I'll relay to you how the fandom at large likes this film.
Now, for the very first time, Steven has printed us both off show notes.
Yes.
And by that I mean he printed out all the sort of things we're going to read out instead of us reading them off his phone.
Exactly. Yeah, well, thanks, Ross, for
exploiting behind the scenes. Stay tuned for Kaijusaurus Behind the Scenes, where me and Steven talk about how much we hate each other.
Yeah,
we just do this for you guys.
I hope you're pleased. Anyway, so yeah, this film is kind of difficult to gauge how the fandom at large reacts to it. I don't think it offends anyone. I don't think it's anyone's absolute favorite. I think it's.
That's interesting to me now because I was waiting for the time because. For the most part, most of these films that we've seen so far, the early ones, I've really liked them, and everyone else has really liked them. I'm now kind of happy to be reaching the lukewarm films, where people, there's give and take, because I really like this one. Yeah, this is one that I would fight for.
Oh, I like this film a lot as well, but for example, it's not in my top 10.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like I said, I think this is a really inoffensive film. No one outwardly hates it. I don't think it's anyone's absolute favourite. I think it's a solid kind of 3-star affair. It's generally liked and not much more.
Yeah, that's how people feel about it. Yeah. That makes sense.
But it's time to move on to you, the listeners, who have submitted a record number of submissions, thoughts, opinions on the film. How many do
we have here? 1, 2,
we have
3,
7.
4. 7?
7? I know, holy shit, isn't it?
Deary me.
I know, for the first time ever, we had to actually print them off and have them in front of us because we just can't deal with it any other way.
No.
So, Ebirah Horror of the Deep listener submissions. Do you want to start or shall I?
You start one.
Sure. Okay, our first submission comes from Tumblr user Raphalapagus. Hello there, Raph. We should do a little corner called Raph's Reviews.
Yes, we should.
Because we're getting quite a few regulars.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Nice Raph's Reviews. Ebirah Horror of the Deep has one of my favourite and I think one of the most unique human storylines in any kaiju movie.
Agree.
Ryota, Nita, and Ichino seem like they drifted in from a 60s beach movie, which is more or less how this movie begins. They're not scientists, soldiers, or anyone who has any business interacting with giant monsters, as we discussed.
Agree.
They're just 3 hapless chumps who need to find their friend's brother and end up stealing a boat.
Agree.
Yoshimura, the never quite truthful badass, stop it, is something of a Han Solo type. Always in over his head, but great at getting himself out of things. There's a lot of character information conveyed with very little backstory. Mostly, excuse me. mostly thanks to economical storytelling and Takarada's typically great performance. It's funny.
Totally.
It's funny Raph mentions economical storytelling there because John Fukuda, the director, said this was quite a difficult film to make because he had to work to a very strict deadline, and with a lot of budget constraints. He compared the process of making this film as trying to pour 2 glasses of water into one, which is a really great.
That's a great metaphor.
Exactly.
That's a great term. I'm going to use that. But I agree on that. Like the pacing and how much information we get to get us to the island is just bang, 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 bang.
And in his book, Critical History and Filmography of Toho's Godzilla series, David Kalat says that this is Akira Takarada's most Cary Grant-like performance, which I could totally agree with.
Absolutely, yeah, no, because he carries that film like he's so
he does.
Great
he's
to watch.
Fabulous in it, yeah.
But anyway,
there's that hilarious scene where the morning after his rifle's gone and he just storms through and wakes them all up with swatting them with a pillow. Wake up! Wake up! So funny. Anyway,
he's great. But anyway,
back to Raph's review. Raph's review corner. Upon reaching the island, the Red Bamboo organization stands out as a fantastic group of villains. There's something of a human counterpart to the Exilians, in the last movie, which we also said, with their scheming to wipe out the world and their ability to at least ward off a monster. I love the role that Godzilla plays in this story, and that our protagonists decide that the best way to stop the Red Bamboo is by waking him up to flatten them, despite what a dangerous and insane plan that really is. The fact that the monsters are wild card elements who wander into the story to wreak havoc in our characters' strange little adventure makes it all the more entertaining.
Totally.
John Fukuda's breezy directing style really lends itself to the upbeat script, as does Sato's score, making it a nice change of pace for the series and a hell of a fun movie. Very well put. Very well said indeed.
Yeah, no, totally.
I agree with everything that's been said there.
Yeah. Okay, so our next one is Tumblr user Demiurge1138, who says, had a story I wanted to share. As you no doubt know, this was one of 2 Godzilla movies seen on MST3K under the title Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. No, I didn't know that, but now I do. Today. I watched that episode a few years back with my girlfriend, who's a big MST fan and a passing Godzilla one. Her response was, I wish they would shut up so I could hear the movie. The only time she's ever wanted to see the film minus riffing.
High praise indeed.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank you for that, Demiurge1138. Next submission is from another regular, Rusty Bottlecap. Rusty's Reviews with Raph.
Is everyone's getting one of these? No one's special.
What was Demiurge's deadly discussions? Demiurge's discussions. Rusty's Reviews with Raph. This is from Rusty Bottlecap, sorry. I love the movie's more casual approach to Godzilla. Instead of getting world attention, here Godzilla just happens to foil the plans of some evil organization simply by being there. This, and him defeating 2 new monsters with ease, reinforces the idea that Godzilla is a big deal among monsters, as previous enemies were more on his level. That the fight with Mothra is left inconclusive is also somehow satisfying.
Yeah.
And it's nice that Godzilla got to jump the cliff instead of falling through it.
I like that. Well, because also this was the first time in, I think, a wee while that, Godzilla's fate wasn't left, totally ambiguous.
Yeah, the last 2 films ended up with falling into the ocean, as did Mothra vs. Godzilla, and King Kong vs. Godzilla, actually.
Well, like Rusty Bottlecap says, it is a recurring thing. Okay, so we have a quick one from Yellow Banana Slug.
Yellow's
Yellow's yellering. Yellow's yelping. Yelp is a registered.
Yellow's yakketing.
Okay, so Yellow Banana Slug says, question for the next podcast. What the ever-loving heck is up with the giant condor? This is one meme that's really confused me.
You want more information on that, Ross?
I would like more information. Well, much like Yellow Banana Slug. I'm in the same boat as you.
Earlier,
tell us, Steven.
I mentioned a chap by the name of Michael.
Michael.
Who on Tumblr is astounding beyond belief, who is one of my very good friends I met at G-Fest in 2014. Let's fast forward back to the first half of 2014, when the hype for Godzilla 2014 is real.
Okay.
And the trailers are hitting us left, right, and centre, and we're dissecting everything about the trailers.
Yeah.
There is a scene featuring what we now know as the male Muto, Hawk Muto, descending down on San Francisco Bay out of fog, and there was a lot of rife speculation about what this was. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's Rodan! Oh, it's King Ghidorah!" And
But one brave voice stood up and said no.
One brave voice said no. It's the giant condor. And
Mate, that'd be amazing. But it's still designed the same. Like, it still moves the same way.
Yeah.
Like, the legs don't move.
And this led to photoshops of the condor. This, like, the same little puppet prop.
Right, I need to watch this.
In the trailer. And another good friend of mine, Alex, who's Mecha 3K on Tumblr, reblogged it with the caption, "On wings of death he comes." And then it was things like, what was the other one? And Michael, do you remember the very first Godzilla 2014 teaser trailer that had the Oppenheimer quotes over it? Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
Michael made a whole joke of it. Now I am become puppet, destroyer of worlds. All about the giant condor.
Yeah.
And from then on, the giant condor has kind of become something of a meme amongst the Godzilla fan base on Tumblr. And this kind of culminated with G-Fest in 2014. Michael, Alex, Jason, another of our good friends, and myself had the giant condor kind of badges and insignia, and Alex made huge big giant condor placards that we carried around G-Fest with us.
That's great.
And it all had captions like "On wings of death he comes" and "Now I am become puppet, destroyer of worlds," things like that. And I got a photo with a sculptor called Hiroshi Sagi, where I'm just holding up the giant condor next to him, and he looks a bit confused.
That's great.
But he's really into it as well.
But he's loving it.
He was like, "Oh, giant condor!" And it was so.
Yeah.
And Michael wants to make a kind of mockumentary about the giant condor, where he is now.
Yeah, I want to see that.
So yeah, that's the giant condor.
Make that.
He's been sort of given a sort of unofficial name, Ukondru, which is just an attempt to make him sound less lame. It's the giant fucking condor.
Giant condor. And do we see the giant condor again?
Not with new footage.
Whoa! I am interested.
So, yellow banana slug. I hope that answers your inquiry on the meme that is the giant condor.
Certainly did mine.
And the meme isn't over yet. Every few months or so, it just crops back up, and it's still very funny.
It just won't die. It just won't die.
Then, like, even just things like when Legendary Pictures announced that they've got King Ghidorah and Mothra and Rodan for the sequels. Like, I think it was Alex reblogged it saying, "Oh, but they forgot someone," and it was Giant Condor.
That's great.
But it was very funny.
Okay, next question.
Tumblr user.
Oh, yeah, it's you.
Do you want to take this one since your last one was very short?
Okay.
Or it's up to you.
No, I'll happily read it. Okay, so this is from Black Eye 15. Tumblr user.
Black Eyes bitching.
Black Eyes bitching. Okay, so Black Eyes says, thoughts on Sea Monster. This is one I thought was pretty okay as a kid, but like a lot more as an adult. Not that I'd put it in my top 10 list, but I appreciate more of the little things it did. I love how nearly each member of the cast gets to contribute towards the downfall of the Red Bamboo, or really maybe one of their branches, and sadly this plot detail never comes back.
Yeah, actually, good point.
Yeah, but I kind of love how they're just crushed. Like I said, no, you don't have to, it's not a sad thing. They were crushed, they were destroyed, the evil was vanquished. Poor Ebirah is really outmatched by Godzilla, so it is good I like the characters. Learning that another monster was supposed to be in this role expanded so many weird little things I found weird even as a kid. Nothing explains a giant bird, though. While Honda and...
I just explained it!
Yeah, we got there. You should have already listened to this.
Oh, you were looking for an explanation within the context of the canon? No, I don't have one.
No.
Sorry.
While Honda and Ifukupi are my favourite Godzilla director and composer, I enjoy Fukuda and Sato as well. One pair is classical and the other is more informal and snazzy. Yeah, that's how I feel.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I think it's good that Toho took a break from the cities and tried for the jungles for a little while. And he likes this more than... They like this more than the next Jungle Adventure.
Spoilers.
They only realised this, but I think this is the last time we see, spoilers, a full-grown Mothra until the 90s. Okay. I'll just process that.
That's fine. I
have to wait 30 years! You're telling me! I slept too long.
Thank you, Black Eye 15.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
No,
totally,
You're
I
a bit
agree.
of a regular too, so thank you as always.
And please don't worry about spoiling the next film for me.
The next
I'm joking.
submission comes from that asshole astounding beyond belief, Michael, who spread the giant condor meme. Astounding beyond belief's asinine remarks.
Yes.
Michael says this, and this will require a bit of explanation for you to understand this. Had this thought while trying to sleep. Ebirah is like a modern-day Daimajin movie, with Godzilla and Mothra assuming the role of the stone giant. The Kaiju have to be woken up to foil the oppressive villains, and as such don't appear until later in the movie. It's an interesting solution to the long-running problem of how do you make a Godzilla movie where he's a reactive force instead of an instigating force? Also, all hail the giant condor. Daimajin, Ross, is a trilogy of films by rival studio Daiei about a stone golem that comes to life and smites the evil and protects the innocent.
Right.
It's a superb little trilogy.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's kind of like the Jewish myth of the golem.
Okay, yeah, so much more protective.
Yeah.
That makes sense, at least with just that information.
And they're fabulous little films.
Yeah.
And so thanks, Michael.
Yeah,
I suppose I should thank you, but
no, I think it's a good point to highlight. Like, yeah, because Godzilla really is reacting to everything in that movie.
Exactly,
he just shows up, which I like, and if this movie is anything to go by, you can do that. And I think when you have really strong human stories, Godzilla can come in much later, can just react to the human characters. Yeah, like when our A plot is strong, our G plot is much better.
I agree. Right, let's right along with this. One more to go. The last one is from Tumblr user MechaGojira3K, who of course is my good friend Alex. This is yours, but feel free to tag me in at any point because this is a long one.
Yeah, we'll jump out. We'll tag in. So Alex's
MechaGojira's mega
chats.
Madness chats. There we go. That really rolled off the tongue there.
We are abandoning this concept next podcast. Official decree.
It was funny for the first 3.
2.
No, it was funny for Rusty Bottlecap as well.
It was funny for the first 2 and then sporadically throughout.
Do you want to read Alex's submission?
Yes, I do. Okay, so Alex says, what a fun film, right? Fukada jumps right into the franchise with immediate energy and gives the series a newfound energy. Fukuda allows us to linger on very precise images, but as soon as some form of action begins, the camera shifts and bobs to drive the audience further into the experience of the characters. I also want to point out how nice the sets are. This film always felt much more Bond-esque than Ghidorah, totally, with the evil Red Bamboo organization. The cast here is also distinctly Fukada, sort of like... Fukuda, pardon me. Fukuda's cast always seem to be larger groups of people, with the exceptions being...
Godzilla versus Megalon. And Terror of Mechagodzilla. Yeah, just... Sorry, I tagged in there, but yeah.
Cheers. I didn't tag you in, but there we go. Honda's films almost tended to settle on the male lead, female lead scientist trio that's somewhat adapted for Ultra Q.
Ultra Q is a TV series.
Cool, cheers. I think it works. The college students pale in comparison to Takarada, but that's fine. Takarada's role helps carry a lot of the film. And I also feel like Kumi Mitsuno doesn't get enough credit for the role. Yeah, that's fair enough. We didn't really talk about her there. I liked her a lot. Typically, she's the femme fatale, says Alex. See Matanango/MZ.
Matango is a horror film by Hiro Honda, and MZ, Monster Zero, Invasion of Astro Monster.
But in Dio, we see a sort of wide-eyed naivety that stands out amongst her roles. There are weak links here, to be sure. I feel like Yata's a bit intense.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah,
sense knowing Ryota. But it seems like there was some possibility for humour at the two gung-ho brothers.
What a weird household that must have been with those two.
I know.
Weirdos. Just
having his fucking beautiful blue jeans. Immaculate blue jeans, even on a desert island.
Do you want me to tag in? Or
tag in.
Yes. Something I love about this movie, and it's something I'll discuss more about the next film, which I don't want you to see the title of yet.
I will look at.
Is the kind of story this is. Monster Zero is an alien invasion story with kaiju in it. This is an adventure film with kaiju in it. Ross has mentioned the world building here, and I think it's about to reach its zenith. Ebirah, Godzilla, Mothra. These are just things that exist. The Red Bamboo have developed a method for keeping Ebirah at bay by using slaves from the fictional island of a giant insect god. It's like reading old comic books and seeing Spider-Man swing into an issue of the Fantastic Four while mentioning he also saw the Hulk. The extraordinary has become the ordinary. The conflicts portrayed, a brother lost at sea, the growing threat of a terrorist organization, exploitation of human beings, these are all real things. Excellent point. Godzilla being woken up is just a human being in this world. Godzilla being woken up is just a human being in this world using the resources they're provided with. I don't know, this all seems a bit muddled, but what I'm trying to say is that I like it a lot. Fukuda can't be mentioned without going, holy crap, Masaru Sato, way to make up for Godzilla raids again. Sato's score is great here, and even moments like the surf rock jet attack is a lot of fun. This music all works, and it works well. The coolest thing with Sato is that he never really does the same Godzilla score twice. That's very true. If he could be as good as he was, did reuse a lot of scores.
Yeah.
I also feel like his Mothra music is pretty neat as well. As is the way the ritual dance is shot just before the matte painting. I mean, Mothra wakes up. Final paragraph, do you want to take it?
Yeah, of course. So Alex continues. Now, we can't discuss this film without discussing its introduction of one of the most important characters in the mythos. You guessed it, the giant condor, the greatest of all kaiju. On wings of death, he descends into our lives like an American politician, flapping and pecking at our souls with extreme prejudice. His divinity is blinding and his feathers forever molting with the passing of 1,000 years. All hail the giant condor, may his talons never reach us. Amen.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for that. Excellent points
Thank
raised,
you guys.
as always. And thank you, everyone.
Yeah, no, like, you guys, I mean, it goes to show you're all coming up with basically the same shit we're saying.
Yeah, exactly. We're on the same
You
wavelength.
should be here.
While we do the podcast, you guys make it.
Exactly. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed making.
And on that wonderful note, shall we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Right, everyone. You can find us on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, iTunes,
LinkedIn,
the Kaijusaurus Podcast. Links, as always, in the show notes at kaijusaurus.tumblr.com. Links to Rossi's and I's Twitters in the show notes there.
At Roz Menzies.
At Steven Scrivello. Link to the Facebook page. Link to iTunes. Link to email address, contact, etc. Ross, up next for you is the return of Jun Fukuda as director.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
The return of an island setting.
Oh, I'm interested by that.
And, well, there's no point in building this up. The next film is Son of Godzilla.
Oh, mate! Excellent. Okay, cool.
As always, everyone, thank you so much for listening. This has been a blast.
It has.
Much like the nuclear blast that consumes Devil's Island at the end of the film Ebirah Horror of the Deep.
Shame that.
Shame, indeed. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Cheerio.
Bye.